regarding,
Are you recording this? If so, I'll
yes,
record it. Okay.
yes, no problem, because this is an official visit. I've asked the councilwoman to sit in just to make sure that there's a separate entity and that there's no ambiguity in actually what was said. I'd like to tell you first and foremost that we come here in peace and we're just trying to have the system work for us. Initially, I'd like to ask a few questions, if you don't mind.
I don't have any idea what this is about other than.
Yes. Well, before
So
I can.
it might be helpful if you kind of fill us in.
Yeah. Okay. So I made a viral video, and it highlighted a double standard in policing from the masses perspective, and when that happened, I started to get an influx of different cases and people asking me for help. The reason why I focused on meeting with you today is because a lot of the cases come from your district. And so before we could get into discussing any individual case, I would like to just ask you some procedural questions if you don't mind, sir.
Sure.
So,
Also, all of our policies are online, right?
yes, yes. But I understand that the policies are online, but the reason why I'm asking you these particular questions is because I'm seeing that a lot of your officers don't know the policy. So that's why I want to ask to make sure that we're clear.
Okay. And let me just thank you for coming to us so we can kind of hash this out.
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate that.
Cindy and I have a work relationship that goes back a little bit, and so I brought her in as a friend, and I'm not here to sabotage anyone, but we do have some specific questions.
And I'll tell you that your mother and I had a good relationship. She used to call me one of the good ones.
Okay.
When I worked in the first district, so I really appreciated the work that she did.
Okay.
For the folks on Rocheblave and what have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I also have a great relationship with Commander Roberts as
Okay.
well. So
LaJohn, yep.
yeah. So first I want to ask, what is the mandated policing style for this district?
I'm sorry, that's a very
Broad
open-ended question. Yeah. So what's your concern?
Well, it's actually not a broad question, because all of the officers that you have are required to go to Delgado or somewhere and take these classes, these policing classes. I've taken these classes.
No, sir.
Yeah, there are multiple. Yeah, there are policing classes that your officers take. I've sat in class with them.
Okay, so I'll just correct you on that. Our officers are not required to go to Delgado and take any classes.
Well, okay, so maybe not Delgado, but what I'm telling you is that I sat in policing classes with multiple NOPD officers and recruits, and they said that that was some part of the curriculum to do with being a police officer.
So the New Orleans Police Department hires you if you have a high school diploma, and then we send you to the police academy.
Okay.
We encourage officers to get their degrees. I myself got my degree from the University of New Orleans. Lieutenant DeLarge, who's the assistant commander, got his degree from Xavier University.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that either one of us has ever been in a Delgado class. I'm not.
Okay, so I just said that it don't have to be Delgado.
Yeah.
I just said that.
I'm just trying to understand what your context is.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, so under whatever conditions that
We're not
police.
aware of any conditions set by the department that requires us
Okay.
to continue education
Okay.
as far as a departmental requirement. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? Now, we do go to Delgado, Suno, Dilla, Xavier,
Yeah.
UNO to continue our education.
Okay.
And I say the department doesn't have a requirement. However, there are some educational requirements in order to advance in your career.
Okay.
So to progress from police officer to sergeant, there are some educational credits that you have to get.
Okay.
All right, and that's beyond a police academy.
Thank you.
Right.
All right. So
Right.
whatever the condition where officers go to take policing classes,
It doesn't have to be policing classes. You get a degree or you can study anything. It doesn't have to just be
Okay.
criminal justice.
Okay.
So they could study economics, biology, whatever. It don't
My
have to be
My
police.
degree's in sociology.
Okay, well, good. That's great, because that means that all of the officers that I was in class with were actually just really trying to empower themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They were just trying to advance
So-
themselves.
So that's good. So I appreciate you educating me on the process of how those officers got into the classroom, but that wasn't really the issue. I was just trying to relate to you. So The real issue is that in those classes, we're taught curriculum that there are only 5 acceptable policing styles in the United States. I just sat in the classes and I just talked to my professor to back up what I'm telling you. All right? And so whatever brought those policemen to the class, that's irrelevant. The point I'm making is that as curriculum, it's taught that there are 5 policing styles, acceptable policing styles in the United States. Have you ever heard of Watchmen?
No.
You ever heard of legalistic?
No.
Okay, this is what they're teaching currently.
So
This is what a criminal justice major takes. But
yeah, we're only aware of one policing style,
Okay.
and it's not district specific.
It's
All right?
citywide. It should be.
It should be national. All right,
Okay.
and that's the Constitution.
right,
Okay.
constitutional
And the
policing
state
is the
laws
policing that we're
for
concerned with.
Louisiana and the municipal ordinance of the city of New Orleans. So that's
Okay,
how
so
we
that's
rock.
that's the first contradiction.
Okay.
Because I can prove to you, and I will, that it's being taught as curriculum that there are 5 different policing styles,
But Mr.
and in each
But there are 5 different policing styles, but
acceptable as protocol by the government.
I don't know, sir. That's an education. So those are officers that are taking like criminal justice majors and things like that, right?
Hmm.
Those are policing theories, it sounds like.
No, I'm not discussing theory. Please. So listen. At this point, let's not debate what I'm saying. I will give you the data to support what I'm saying.
Can you tell me the name of the class?
Actually, I don't remember the exact name of that class. I took a whole series of them.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm going back to the ones where I actually sat in class with police officers. But this is the point.
I think we got off track. So why don't let me allow you to kind of go back to
Yeah.
where you're concerned.
So what my concern is that I'm sitting here talking to a captain and a high-ranking official in New Orleans that I'm saying verbatim what the curriculum is that they're teaching in the accredited higher education program, and neither one of you know what I'm talking about. And so the policing style that I'm talking about, what it does, officer, is it mandates how the officer must move. Like legalistic is everything by the book. And Watchmen is one where they refer to the officer having a lot of discretion. And so I've noticed that of the official ones, even though you guys don't have a category, what you're dealing with is what the government terms as a Watchman style policing effort. Okay? So that's debatable right now, but I can prove that. So I don't want to get caught up in that conversation. That this department has no mandate on what the styling of policing is in terms of what type of discretion the officer has. That's an issue because I see that it's being handled in different ways. Sometimes officer shows up, he has discretion, it's no big deal to him, so it's not an issue. But sometimes the officer shows up and what we might consider a lesser crime, but it's a big deal to them, and by statute they can take you to jail, and they do. But then sometimes we see a case where traditionally people go to jail and they're being written summons now, and we were told that initially that was because of COVID. But what we're seeing now is that there may be some other concerns involved in that. And so that's what we're here to express today. I asked one representative of a case that we have to come and speak forward, but I have 20 from your district, at least, documented. And I'm an investigator, licensed by the state. I'm employed by an attorney. And so I went and researched everything I'm telling you here. All right? And so now I would like to begin to discuss a specific
I think that
instance.
would be helpful.
All right. So I'm going to give you a prelude. This lady was forced to solve her own crime, and then they wanted her to investigate it. And no matter what type of information she provided to the police, they would not be cooperative.
Why don't we just talk in specifics, not generalities and theories? What happened?
Well, it's not a generality or a theory, and excuse me. I understand you're busy, and if this isn't a good time, let me know when would be a good time. But the way that you keep cutting me off is disturbing to me, because I know what I'm talking about, and that every word I use in my verbiage is on purpose.
Okay.
It fits for a reason.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm here to hear what the concerns are.
Yeah, so I wasn't talking theory. I was talking about a case, and I told you it was a prelude.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering why the aggression.
I'm leaned back in my chair.
Yeah, I saw that as passive aggression. When you keep cutting me off as if what I'm mentioning isn't relevant, and it is, because I'm making a recording and I know what needs to be in it. So thank you. But if you don't have time, we can meet you when you do have time.
I'm here listening.
Thank you. Let's start at the very beginning of your case.
So my name is Tamara Miller, and I'm the salon owner of Pretty with Ambition. It's located on Chef Highway. So on Saturday, June 19th, I arrived to work about 9 a.m. And I left maybe about 8 p.m. I noticed that my car was keyed. So I immediately contacted the landlord just to inform him. He told me that, he's not responsible. So I was like, I just wanted to let you know because, one, I do work by myself. I do work in a high crime area. So I'm not into anything, and by the car being keyed, I know it's intentional. So now it have me scared, like, who keyed my car? So I'm coming up with all kind of theories and scenarios, maybe somebody mistaking my car for someone else. So then I contacted the guy next door who have the cameras hooked up. Mm-hmm. So it was late Saturday night, so he said, I'll send them over to you Sunday, which would be Father's Day. So I was like, hey, Mr. Don, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I need to know who vandalized my car. So that's when he sent me a message and said, I'll be able to see it better at the location, but it's no doubt he did it. So I was like, who is he? And so he was like, the guy that owns the nail salon. So I was like, wow, because as a woman, I have patronized his business, sent my clients over there. We never had a reason to get into it. He like mid-40s, Vietnamese guy, and I just pull up, speak to them, and go inside of my business. So I was just hysterical. So like Sunday, I live in St. Tammany. So I left my house, went sat at the shop, called the police out at 8 a.m. on my off day, waiting for an officer to come. And so, of course, the whole day went by. Once it got to like 8 p.m. and it started getting dark, I called a dispatcher to let them know that I'm going to be going home. Do they know that this is a business and not residential? I don't want to be sitting here all night. So they explained to me that, they have to get to the emergency calls and stuff. They'll get an officer out. So I was like, okay, I'll just come back tomorrow morning and try again. So once Monday come, I come in again, sit there and wait. So maybe about 2, 3 in the evening, I say, well, hey, can I just come to the station instead of waiting on the officer? So they was like, well, due to COVID, they're not really allowing people to come in, on top of, because it's vandalism, I have to stay on the scene. So I was just like, okay. So I stayed there all day Monday again. So then once Tuesday came, now I started contacting different people, and I'm letting them know my situation. Like, my car was vandalized. I'm scared pulling up, being next to this guy, because I don't know what he's going to do now that I know he did that. And wait, I'm like...
Excuse me 1 second. Mm-hmm. And I'd also like to say that she's not exaggerating. I've been checking in with her. She's been very afraid for her safety. I just wanted to add that she's, a single female.
Oh, I'm sorry, since
this happened.
Right. Can you give us that item number?
Sure.
I'll tell you what.